Hey guys, back here this time to chat the wild card game between the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts. Let me see. Line opened at Houston minus 2.5 with a total of 47. Right now it sits at about Houston minus one, total of 48. Clearly, people are really backing Andrew Luck. At least that's where the money's moving the line. Um, some quick numbers here. Houston won at Indianapolis 37-34. Indianapolis won at Houston 24-21. This will be the third time they've played each other this season. Definitely no stranger to one another. I think this is well. First of all, this is by far the highest total of the weekend, so you definitely good chance you could have your highest scoring game be right here. There's a lot of different perspectives you could take on this game. You got the Colts, who everybody in the media is running away with this whole them being 9-1 in their last 10 games. No one's really mentioned the fact that Houston's been 11-2 in their last 13 games. I just think that there's been a lot of people who've wanted to see Andrew Luck come back and be successful. And the fact that he has been, I think that a lot of people are on this bandwagon. Andrew Luck has put up an MVP worthy type of season. He won't win the MVP, but he's definitely had a very good year. Um, Especially as a return year. And it's worth noting, I mean, the Colts have a lot of picks, a lot of money to spend, and Andrew Luck they got for a bargain off his injury with his current contract the way it is. The Colts have a lot of success coming their way. Definitely going to be a Super Bowl contender. You know, arguably for the next 5-6 years at least. Very young, talented defense. A ton of rookies that have played very well. Uh, But like I said, from my end, I'm really not hearing enough about how good of a year Houston has had and how good Deshaun Watson's been. He had a slow start to the year. They didn't start out that well, but talk about coming into form. Like I said, all week I've heard. I feel like no matter what station I turn on, oh, the Colts are 9-1 their last 10 games. But like, the Texans have been even better. I get it. One of their losses was to the Colts. The other loss for the Texans was at the Eagles. I mean, who Big Dick Nick doing his thing. I don't look. I don't count either of those losses as bad losses. The Texans have been doing what they need to do. They have arguably the best defensive line or one of the best defensive lines, at least from a name perspective in football. Halfway decent secondary. Very talented quarterback in Watson. Good running back in Lamar Miller. Arguably best receiver in the game in DeAndre Hopkins. I just think that the Colts are getting a lot of respect here, and I get it. For me, this line has now turned into. I saw right before I did this video that I crushed it. By the way, I saw that I could get Houston at pick. I didn't see that anywhere else, but I saw it on my apps. I crushed Houston at pick. Look, for me, it's a numbers game. I wouldn't want to lay 2.5 per se with Houston, but I'm now at a point now where the money has moved into. I just got to have Houston win the game. Um, that's that's more my speed. I actually really like Houston in this spot. I just think they're not getting enough respect. I'm sure they're hearing it on the radio themselves. I'm sure they're going to be amped for this game. It's like no one even respects the fact that they won the division. I mean, the Colts needed to beat the Titans just to even get into the playoffs, and the Titans didn't even have their backup. I mean, didn't they were playing Blaine Gabbert. I don't even know why he's even still in the NFL. But look, they played well. Obviously, that's what everybody saw on Sunday night. But for me, it's this is just an easy pick. Um, at easy pick for me at pick because again, numbers game. I'm getting the home team. I'm getting the better team. I don't care what people have been saying in the media. Andrew Luck this, Andrew Luck that. Um, you know, he doesn't have to pull his pants down. The media is just practically just blowing this guy from show to show. And look, Luck's had a great year. All due respect to him, but for me, Watson's had a great year too. You're not hearing enough about it. You're not hearing enough about all the great things that team's done. And DeAndre Hopkins just quietly continues to put up monster numbers game after game after game. And I really like this spot for Houston. Young team, but Andrew Luck doesn't have a whole lot of playoff experience either. So I'm not buying that narrative, myself either. So again, I like Houston at pick here. I think for me, it's a great spot for them being home, off the division win, and nobody's talking about them. The line's moving in their favor. So look, game could really go either way. But if I don't have to lay any points with the home team who won the division, who's arguably even playing better than the Colts are, even though the Colts have been playing well too. So don't be fooled by everything you're hearing about the Colts this, Andrew Luck that. I'm riding the Texans here. I'll lay, I'll lay one, I'll lay half a point. But like I said, I got it at pick, which is great. Love that. So like I said, guys, giving you Houston there. That's what I'm going with for this game. I'll give you two props that I like as well. I'm seeing Andrew Luck's passing yards at 291.5. Despite me liking the Texans, I do believe there's going to be scoring in this game. The fact that Andrew Luck his total is 291 is kind of crazy to me because in tight games, in games that they've been close all year, the Colts have relied on Andrew Luck's arm. I get it. Marlon Mack's been great for them recently, and they've been leaning on him when they've had a lead. But that's, of course, making the assumption that the Colts are going to jump out to, a 10-point lead, 2-touchdown lead. They very well could. But I think that, and if the argument there is if they're going to get there, they're probably going to get there because Andrew Luck threw a few big passes. I mean, Houston doesn't really turn the ball over. They have the second least turnovers in the NFL. Granted, in a one-game sample size, I like to say this all the time, anything can happen. But if we're using numbers to try to at least interpret what the future could hold, we have to at least acknowledge the fact that Houston has the second least turnovers in the NFL. Deshaun Watson hasn't thrown an interception in 6 weeks. So, I don't expect that to be something that happens often in the game from Houston's perspective. So with that in mind, I do believe, Andrew Luck's going to have the opportunity to pile up yards. I think that, Houston's front four is going to give a hard time to Marlon Mack, which is going to create long second downs, long third downs. And Andrew Luck's going to be forced to throw. In a game being so close, I expect him to lean on Andrew Luck's arm. 291 is a soft number for me. Andrew Luck's gone over 300 yards plenty of times this year. This is going to be a competitive game. He's going to be on the road. The defense isn't all that impressive, at least from the secondary's perspective. They might get some pressure, but ultimately, I do expect Luck to try to extend plays and get that ball moving downfield to at least pile up yards. 291 is a soft number for me. I just think that there's a good opportunity there for him to go over. And the other prop I like, I want to give you guys 3 bets for this. The other prop I like is Deshaun Watson over 35.5 rushing yards. One thing that's happened recently with the Texans is that they've been really, at least I don't know if this is coming from Watson himself. I don't know if it's Bill O'Brien and the coaching staff, but Watson over, especially over his last 2 games, has really been looking to tuck the ball and run with it. Play breaks down, maybe earlier in the year, play broke down. He was kind of looking to get the ball downfield. Now it's win or go home. These are the types of games where you get players like Watson that get scrambling and do everything they could to get those extra yards. Over his last 2 games in what you could argue were must-win spots for them to win their division. Let me see. I got Watson here at 21 carries his last 2 games. That's the most carries he's had in a 2-game stretch all season. I expect him to carry that over into this game against the Colts. He went over this number the first time they played and sat right at 35. The second time they played, I do believe those games are somewhat irrelevant as it relates to his rushing total for this game because, again, playoff game, long third down. Watson's going to have opportunities to pick up decent chunks of yards. 35 is a low number. I think it's very soft. I got that at minus 115. I just think that advantages are to be had at that number. They've been leaning on him more. Lamar Miller has really been struggling to find holes inside. I just think the read option is going to give Watson a few extra carries. If he gets to that 8-9 number of carries, he should be able to easily go over 35.5. Okay, so that wraps this up. I know this video was a little longer than I wanted it to be. I apologize for that. But I hope you guys found this informative. I hope you guys, use this information, to your best benefit. Like I said, to wrap this up, I have Houston at pick. If you get them at half a point, obviously doesn't matter. You're not going to tie in the playoffs anyway. I do expect the line to maybe move a bit in their favor. I don't expect this line to jump too much more in any favor. If you can get Houston at pick, I would take it. Don't assume that the line's going to flip a 0. So definitely going Houston here at pick or minus a half. Andrew Luck over 291.5 passing yards. Got that at minus 115. And Deshaun Watson over 35.5 rushing yards. Like I said, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it informative. Let's win some money. I'll do another video for you guys on the other game for Saturday as well. So check that out as well. Thanks again, guys.